is just a hand bone. We're going to need the hand bone because we're going to be driving the rotations based off of it. So we'll start the main hand bone now anyhow. I'm just going to make a quick little bone, and I'm going to use my align tool and align it up to the nub on the end, pivot to pivot, X, Y, and Z rotations. And once again, in the bone tools, freeze length, and I might just want to set the length a little bit longer. Again, if you've done that, reset the stretch afterwards. The twist bones, we're going to do a simpler setup. I'm going to do 2 twist bones in the forearm and 1 twist bone in the upper arm. I'm just going to do a copy of this bone here. You could make a new one if you wanted. And again, using the bone tools, if I'm going to change the length of this, I'm going to need to unfreeze the length, and I'm going to create an end so I can change its length. Once again, I'm going to reset the stretch. And now I'm just going to align it back to the original bone. So it sits in the same place. For the forearm, I'm going to copy the forearm bone, unfreeze the length, create an end on it, and I'm actually going to need 2 bones here, so I'm just going to refine this in the middle. And set their length. What I want is this to be about a third, and then the last piece of this bone a third. Now, you don't need to change the length of this bone. You don't need to actually set it down to here. It doesn't matter. I'm just going to skin this area to it. The envelope will run the entire length. If you don't like that happening, what you can do is you can actually change the length of this bone. And there's a couple of ways of doing it if you'd like to make it look really neat and tidy. One, you can use MaxScript to adjust the .length property, or in a very, very easy way is you can add an edit mesh modifier to it. Pick the vertices on the end, set your coordinate space to parent, and just move the vertices up in the bone. Bone length is actually still down at the end, but you've just changed it visually. When using skin and you add this as a skin object, the envelope will only come up the length of this because it actually uses the bounding box to decide that. Same thing with this bone. Maybe you only want it to actually start here and come down. Same thing, let's add an edit mesh. This time, grab the vertices on this end and pull them down. I don't like collapsing my bones down to an edit mesh and doing it, for the simple reason is I like keeping them as bones. If I ever need to go back and edit bones as bones, I can do it. I also have the ability to be able to turn off any changes I've made to them to see what the actual structure was built like. So now we actually have the bones in the arm that are going to allow us to create the twisting. This bone, this bone, this bone, and the nub bone at the end are the original bone chain that we started with. That can be seen by double-clicking on the root, and it picks only those. Again, it's better seen if we turn off the modifiers, and you can see how it actually is working. This bone is going to try and stay aligned to the clavicle in its X rotation. This bone will stay aligned in the X-axis to the clavicle. These two will split the load for the forearm. This one will try and stay aligned in the X-axis to the hand, and this one will share something in between this and this one.